In today's video, we're going to go over the top 10 questions people typically ask when choosing to move to Cedar City, Utah. My name is Elizabeth Prisbrey. I'm with Stratum Real Estate Group. If you are looking to buy or sell here in Cedar City or really anywhere in southern Utah, I would love to help you out with that. Please feel free to call, text, or email anytime. That contact information is down below in the description. All right, the first question is, what is the weather like in Cedar City? Cedar City is a high desert, so we do get 4 mild seasons, meaning we have warm summers, cool winters, and then mild springs and fall. You will see some snow in the winter time. It's not a lot of snow. We get about 11 to 13 inches of precipitation every year, so don't expect a lot of snow, but we are cold enough to get that snow in the winter time and for it to stick around for a day or two until the sun comes out. The summers are warmer, however, we're still about 10 to 15 degrees cooler than St. George, Utah, which is south of Cedar City, about a 45-minute drive. That's going to have much warmer temperatures in the summertime, which makes for really great summers here in Cedar City. So what people really love about the weather here is that you can experience all 4 seasons without any of them being too extreme. The second question I usually get is there enough water in Cedar City? This is a common concern for people looking to move here as well as local residents. As I said, we are in a desert. Although it's a high desert, we are still in a desert. We are in the west, so water is always a hot topic. Cedar City gets its water from watersheds and aquifers, and so we have to make sure enough water is going back into the aquifer and that it is being recharged in order to make sure we have enough water for the town. The city actively manages the water rights and water conservation plans to make sure we're moving forward in the right direction. There was actually recently a water conservation plan updated and adopted at the end of 2024, so the city is aware of it and takes it seriously. However, we are still continuing to develop and to grow the area, so just be aware that we are in a desert, we are in the west, water is a scarcity, and that is something that you probably want to consider when you are moving here, that you may have to conserve water moving forward as the population grows. Of course, the city is working on that, but it's something to take seriously. The third question I get a lot, and that is, what are home prices like? This, of course, changes all the time. I do a monthly market update every month where we take a deep dive into that. I post weekly updates just so that you can see how that is rolling forward each week. However, if we're just taking a quick snapshot of it, we're at the end of summer 2025. You can get into a starter home at the low to mid 300,000s. This will likely be a townhome or a more aged home that might need some renovating. If you're looking for a single family home that's a little bit newer, average size, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, of course, it's going to depend on the area of town, but you're probably looking at the low to mid 400,000s. And then if you're looking at something more custom, higher end, you are 500 to 800,000. Beyond that, that is very custom and getting up into a much higher price point. But you can come in, go to modest single family home right around the low 400,000. Now, we do have a lot of rentals here, but the demand for those is pretty tight because we are in a college town. We have SUU, or Southern Utah University, here, so that student housing will overflow into a lot of the rentals. The fourth question I get is, how big is Cedar City? To me, Cedar City is still a small town because I came from Las Vegas. However, if you're coming from a town with a population of 10,000, 3,000, Cedar City is going to feel larger to you. Right now, our population is almost to 43,000, and that's based on the 2020 census, or an estimate from that. So we are growing, and we're growing pretty quickly. Now, of course, we are growing, but still not huge. We are considered a small town. We still have that small town vibe and community culture. You will recognize people when you go into the store or go into a restaurant or you're at the gas station. You might see a face you know and you're able to say hi. Now, although we are a small town, we're still large enough to have restaurants, shopping centers, anything you might need, you can get in Cedar City. You really don't have to leave the town unless you're looking for some crazy specialty item. All right, the fifth question I usually get is, what is the job market like? We have a few main employers here. That's going to be SUU, or Southern Utah University, Intermountain Hospital for medical care, Iron County School District, as well as our city offices. So those are some of the main employers here in Cedar City. We do have a high construction industry, but in all honesty, we have a growing remote work community. I'm seeing a lot of people move to Cedar City for the lifestyle and the culture. It's not a major job hub. People are sacrificing that income to live in this area for the lifestyle. All right, the sixth question I get is, are the schools good? The Iron County School District has a solid reputation here. However, we also have charter and private schools that are available. We have Southern Utah University, that is the college here, as well as Southwest Technical Institute, where you can get that technical training that works pretty closely with our Southern Utah University. Now, I will say that this is going to be based on your perspective and where you are coming from. I came from Las Vegas. I have been very happy with the education here. What I love about the education programs here is I felt like my kids in high school and even in middle school are getting opportunities to experience different types of careers and get a lot more life skill training within high school before they leave high school and figure out what it is they want to do. They are having that opportunity to try real world skills to see if that's an avenue they would like to follow. So I love that the students are encouraged to explore and figure out what it is they like and not just sent on one direct path. Of course, this one's going to be all perspective, where you're coming from and what your overall goals are. All right, number 7, this one is, what is there to do in Cedar City? People think that because we're a small town, there's nothing to do here, but I beg to differ. We have a huge arts and culture scene. Cedar City is known as Festival City, USA. We have the Shakespeare Festival that runs from June through October every year, where tons of plays are put on. Actors and actresses will actually travel here and live here during those months to put on these plays. We also have a lot of amateur and youth theater programs throughout the city that are constantly putting on productions, so there's always some type of entertainment that you can go to. On top of that, we have a lot of community events. We have the July Jamboree, which I absolutely love. It's a big car show where you will see Main Street shut down, cars will come, vendors will come, the whole town is out there walking the street. You're really getting that community vibe. We have our holiday lighting ceremony that takes place right after Thanksgiving, where they will light up Main Street for the holidays. There's a holiday tree jubilee that takes place then, not to mention several other parades and events throughout the year. So much going on all the time. Now, the cherry on top, or the main thing that brings people here, is going to be our outdoor recreation. We are so close to Bryce Canyon, Duck Creek, Bryan Head, Canara Falls Slot Canyon. There are miles and miles of trails to ride side-by-sides and four-wheelers. You can ski up in Bryan Head. You can snowmobile up in Duck Creek and Bryan Head. There is so much to do around here. We have the lake at the hill, which is right in town, man-made lake that I love to go to and paddleboard on for just a quick session. There is so much to do here in the summertime and in the wintertime outdoors that it makes it just a great location for that outdoor lifestyle. All right, question number 8 is, what is the cost of living compared to other Utah towns? Now, of course, Cedar being a smaller town, it is going to be lower than St. George, which is 45 minutes south, lower than Salt Lake City, which is about 3.5 hours drive north. That's really going to be more specific to housing and utilities, definitely more affordable as far as that goes. Groceries and gas, though, that's pretty equal to the state average. We don't see a lot of fluctuation from Cedar to St. George to Salt Lake as far as groceries and gas go. And as far as the nation as a whole, Cedar City is lower than the national average when it comes to cost of living. Now, keep in mind, you want to compare that to the job market and the income potential here, so it may not feel like that. But again, people choose Cedar City for the lifestyle and culture. Number 9, and usually at the top of the list, is Cedar City safe? Now, I'm going to say Cedar City is known to be a safe and family-friendly community. Again, I feel like this is perspective on where you are coming from. I came from Las Vegas. I always feel pretty safe in Cedar City. However, when people ask me this question, I'm not just going to say, yes, Cedar City's safe, because there's crime everywhere. There are people doing shady stuff everywhere. So what I always recommend is contact the local police department, see what the current crime statistics are, check out the different areas, because it's going to be different based on different areas in the city. But overall, what I personally feel is I feel a lot safer than I have in other cities. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that it is a family-oriented community. A lot of people know each other, and a lot of people look out for each other. All right, and the 10th question for our list today is, what is traffic and transportation like in Cedar City? As far as traffic goes, it's going to take you about 10 to 15 minutes to get from one end of Cedar City to the other end of Cedar City, so from the south to the north end. If it is during rush hour, meaning that time when everybody's going to and from work or school, The streets are going to feel a lot more congested, so it might take a few more minutes, but rarely ever does it take more than that. There has to be some sort of accident or sheep crossing for it to take longer than that. The other great thing about the traffic is Interstate 15 goes right through the middle of Cedar City from south to north. There's 3 different exits, so that can help you bypass a lot of traffic if what you're trying to get to is close to that on-ramp. Now, we do have a small airport here if you want to fly in or out, but that only connects to Salt Lake City, so you'd have to fly into Salt Lake City and then come into Cedar City. Now, that might be a great option if you are coming from far away. You can actually rent a car at the airport, so you'll have everything you need there. Most people coming from Las Vegas or California, they usually choose to just drive to Cedar City. So the takeaway from this is you can get from one side to the other in 10 to 15 minutes, but Cedar City is growing. Our roads are getting more congested. As it grows, expect for there to be more delays than you might be used to. All right, that rounds out the top 10 questions I'm usually asked before people decide to move to Cedar City. Of course, that isn't all the questions that I get, but those seem to be the top 10. I try to keep it as real as I can here so that you are not surprised when you come to Cedar City. I want you to know the pros, the cons, the good, the bad. I want this to be your decision, and I want you to be fully informed. So if you would still like to make Cedar City your home, my name is Elizabeth Prisbrey. I'm with Stratum Real Estate Group, and I really would love to help you make a move here. Please don't hesitate to reach out. I promise you I will respond. All right, until next time, have a wonderful day.